Hey everyone, it's me again. You know what this is? I know some of you are thinking already. It's not a gun. This is what I like to call the Nintendo DS Lite. So many memories with this little device. I remember we used to take this on car trips and airplanes all the time. Good times. And it sold over 150 million units. I knew you could do it someday. Ah! Ugh. Wait a minute. This is the Nintendo DS. What did I just say? Released in 2004, the DS is the most successful system Nintendo has ever put out, selling over 154 million units since its launch. That's pretty impressive considering the fact that the DS's launch titles were limited here in the States and the DS was really underpowered compared to its competitor, the PSP. To be fair, this thing might as well run on waste breath. Why else do you think it has a microphone? To play Fossil Fighters? Back then, all the signs were pointing to the PSP winning the war. Sony thought they were so freaking cool with their micro waffle of an analog stick. But Nintendo managed to pull off the unthinkable. As time went on, the DS went on to capture the minds and hearts of kids and uncles everywhere. The library of games never seemed to end. Every time you blink, you'd say, "Oh frick, brain age." The DS was so successful because it appealed to not only core gamers, but to actual people with normal lives. This isn't natural. The DS was able to bring in the casual audience with its library of not only core games like Super Mario 64 DS and Yes Please, but with games like Big Brain Academy and My Stop Smoking Coach. But anyway, even with its massive success and wide appeal, by the time 2010 came along, it was time to move on. Now, if we go back in time a little bit, we see that back in the 1980s, Nintendo started to experiment with stereoscopic 3D. Because that's not gonna blow up in their face. Man, Nintendo in the 80s was way more interesting than they are now. They saved gaming in America, the Game & Watches were still being made, the NES was going strong, and this didn't exist yet. It was great. Nintendo was trying to put 3D on the Famicom, the Japanese version of the NES, using the Famicom 3D system. How the heck did that work? It didn't. Yeah, it only had around 7 games and never released outside of Japan. Well, that's not a good sign. Later in the century, Nintendo took a second whack at 3D gaming. Around 1995, Gunpei Yokoi, you know him, he made this and this and this. Yeah, pretty creative guy. He also made this abomination. The Virtual! I can't even finish that sentence. Yeah, this one actually blew up. And in everybody's face. Nintendo released a VR headset in 1995 that had to be played on a stand, displayed disgusting monochrome red and black visuals, and all in glorious 3D. This was a product that needed to be released while the N64 was being developed and nothing more. It was discontinued less than a year after it released. And I can think of some reasons why. The dang thing wasn't even finished. It was a prototype that someone at Nintendo saw and said, "Sure, my afternoon's free. Look at this and tell me it's a finished product. I dare you." So far, Nintendo is 0 for 2 at this point with the 3D gaming, but those persistent as frick people at Nintendo just won't let the 3D concept go. And it paid off? In late 2009, rumors of a new DS system were floating around, with people stating that Nvidia was chosen to be the graphics supplier for this next system. Go them. The new DS would also have motion sensors. Neat. On March 23rd, 2010, Nintendo officially announced their next handheld, which was to be the successor to the DS, the Nintendo 3DS. Where the heck did they learn to count? No, they did not name it the 3DS because they don't know what goes after 1, but because the top screen was now capable of displaying 3D visuals. Here they go again. I'm joining the army. The 3DS was released on February 26, 2011 in Japan and March 27, 2011 in the US with a launch price of $249.99. Jeez man, the launch price of those things hurt, and to add to the pain, there weren't even that many groundbreaking games on the system to launch with. It was apparent that the 3DS was going to suffer the same fate as the 3D games and systems that came before it. That was until Nintendo announced a new 3D Mario game for the system, as well as a new Mario Kart. That, along with a massive price cut in August, gave the 3DS a good fighting chance. The 3DS was really starting to take off after the August price cut and the back-to-back releases of Super Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7. Ever since its launch, the 3DS has sold nearly 76 million units in total. Not as good as the DS, but that is not bad at all. But to those of you out there that want to become actual 3DS collectors, run. 6 different models of the 3DS were released. Jeez, dude, devoted 3DS collectors had to quit their day job to hunt for each model and every color of each model. And I thought collecting reverse cards was hard. I'm missing a blue. Not only are there more 3DS special editions than people on Earth, but even the stock colors list is long. Okay, first things first, we have to mention the different models. We have the 3DS, 3DS XL, new 3DS, new 3DS XL, the 2DS, and the new 2DS XL, yikes and a half. Each of those have their own stock colors and the special editions. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try putting all that together. This thing barely survived the last episode. Here I have one of the many special editions of the new 3DS XL model, this one being the lime green Super Mario World edition. It's a really good system, but I think I should have gone with the SNES edition. This glossiness shows scratches like it's its job. My parents got me this for Christmas after I kinda wouldn't shut up about it for around a month and a half, but I played a ton on this thing and still do once in a while. I mostly play this thing nowadays with my roommate Karl.
Yes!
One of my favorite things to play with him is New Super Mario Bros. I know that's a DS game, just let me be. I also happen to have the blue and black new 2DS XL. It's okay. It's the same as mine, but without the 3D, which kinda defeats the point of the 3DS name. Now with all of these different models, they have to be different enough from each other to warrant a release, right? Let's go with that option. Each redesign of the 3DS had to have something to get customers interested while also being different from the last. Other than a freaking paint job. The first 3DS was the one that started it all, and its gimmick was a 3D screen along with other things like motion detectors. Neat. The next model was the 3DS XL. Guess what the difference was? New stylus? The main difference was that it was bigger. Much bigger. Nintendo claimed that it had the biggest screens ever on a Nintendo handheld. That's a big screw you to the Switch. That, along with other slightly changed elements like the gloss got shaved off and the back was now slightly convex. The one who dared to follow the 3DS XL was the new 3DS. Yeah, even when it turns 12 in those times, it's still gonna be new. In this model, they added new face tracking 3D. In the old models, the 3D effect would be kind of finicky. You would have to be staring directly at the screen at the perfect angle for the 3D effect to even kind of work properly. Here, next to the camera, there's an IR sensor which can track your eyes and adjust the 3D so it looks good from whichever angle you are at. Whoa! It's also more powerful. They have added built-in amiibo support on the bottom screen. Just tap an amiibo and you're done. They also gave us a second analog stick. Sony, I'm sorry for ever mocking you. Not only that, but they added ZL and ZR after everybody already stopped caring. Next model was the new 3DS XL. They really weren't lying with these names. And that just about wraps it up. Gosh dang it. Okay, I don't like the 2DS. Now don't get me wrong, they're fine enough systems, but this kind of kills the point of the 3DS to me. I don't have one, but I've used 2DSs many times, and they always felt way cheaper than the 3DS, which was their goal. They were made for the kids and the people who wanted to play Shinobi 3D and nothing more. There were many who just saw a couple 3DS games that interested them, and the 2DS helped them be able to play these without breaking the bank. And that was fine and all, but what happened to the clamshell design? That was probably the 2DS's biggest flaw in my eyes. This system was marketed mainly toward kids, and not having the clamshell design just made it easier to break the screen. Now the 3DS family could have just ended it there, but they just couldn't help themselves, could they? The new 2DS XL did a lot right, but still though, it's just a new 3DS XL without the 3D. To me, this one is an okay system, but I'll stick to my new 3DS XL if you don't mind. The 3DS family is just a great line of systems. Except for the adopted cousin. As a matter of fact, it's the first thing I think of when the term portable gaming is brought up. Even with its flaws, it's just a great little device to kill time on. But even with that, I'm starting a fundraiser. We're sending Nintendo back to kindergarten. Learn to count!